You booked it, episode 166. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining me today on You Booked It, the #1 podcast where you learn how to create a successful entertainment career. Every episode is a masterclass on how to move your career forward. Do you want to take your career to the next level? As a listener of this podcast, I am offering you the opportunity to work one-on-one with me to build the foundation of what you need to create a successful career in today's world. Regardless if you're starting out or you've been doing this a while, I've got you covered. Look, when I entered this industry, I went to the #1 school in the USA for musical theater, graduated with an insane skill set, and zero clue about how to actually make my skills a career. I lost years of momentum because of it. Do not let this happen to you. That's why I created this podcast. That's why I'm making you this offer to coach with me. If you're interested, simply tap the link in the description of this episode and let's chat. Okay, let's get started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Alison Faulk. Are you ready for this, Alison?
I'm so ready.
Brilliant. Alison is an LA-based choreographer and director who has had an absolutely stunning and bonkers career. It would quite literally, everyone, take me an entire episode to mention everything she has done, but here are a few highlights for you. She has co-choreographed Pink's Funhouse Tour. She was supervising choreographer for Britney Spears' Femme Fatale World Tour and then Madonna's MDNA World Tour. She choreographed Channing Tatum's film Magic Mike and is a choreographer for Magic Mike Live. She has also worked with Jennifer Lopez on numerous occasions for live shows and TV appearances and has been in a multitude of movies, TV shows, and commercials. Alison, like I said, that is a very, very quick synopsis of what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, fill in the gaps, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. This is super, super fun. Yeah, that was definitely those were some highlights for sure. What I do in the industry at this point is I'm a choreographer. And I'm beginning to dabble in creative direction and also a little bit of film direction. So that's super exciting. And I started off as a dancer. I'm still to this day like such a dance geek. I love dance so much and every form of dance and just learning about dance and exploring and just learning different styles and learning from different people and sharing with different people. So yeah, I was like a competition kid. I went to all the conventions and whatnot. I'm from South Florida. That's where I trained. And then I'd go to conventions like once a year. There wasn't very many conventions back when I was little. But the highlight, we would go to Tremaine Dance Convention and they have these auditions and you can possibly win a scholarship to go train in LA, which I did, which was so freaking cool. And when I take my mind and bring it back to that mindset of when I was a kid, it was just like my mind was exploding. The fact that I was going to LA, but that was always my dream to go out and study and then become a professional dancer, which I was lucky enough to do. And yeah, I dabbled in like many different styles within like different worlds in the entertainment industry out there. Not the entertainment industry, but just the commercial dance industry, like the technical aspect and also like the street dance and hip hop aspect, which has been really cool. And yeah, I toured for a long time. I toured with different artists and then tons of film and television, which was exciting. And I feel like I was gifted this career of this masterclass with all these people that I got to work with and just learn from. And whether it be the choreographers or the dancers I was around, it's been a really cool ride. And weirdly enough, I still feel like I'm just starting, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It just feels like the more you learn, you just have so much more to learn and share and whatnot. But currently at this very moment, these last few years, most of my time is dedicated to Magic Mike Live. I work with Teresa Espinosa and Luke Brodlick and Channing Tatum, and we all created this live show together and we choreographed it. And we're in 4 different cities. With COVID, we've had to go dark for a little bit, but I'm currently in Australia in quarantine.
Whoa, very
Prepare,
cool.
yes, yeah, preparing to bust out and get our Australia show up and going in Sydney. So we're just beyond thankful and excited to begin this journey here. We're just so excited to bring some fun and light and love back into the world. So excited. So yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I do.
very cool. Very cool. And
Thanks.
let's dig into this first section here. And Allison, look, I am a sucker for a good quote. What is your favorite quote you'd like to share with everyone?
Yeah, I have to say, I don't have one favorite quote, but I just read a book that I really loved. And I went through and I picked a couple out. I'm going to read you two, if that's okay.
Of course.
It was the book I read was Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. And it really spoke to me. It's this book that talks to the creative on any level, whether you're creative for fun, whether you're creative for work, and everything in between. And it speaks to the different things that you might be dealing with, that internal monologue that you have going on. One of the first quotes that I really liked was, "You can measure your worth by your dedication to your path, not by your successes or failures." And
Mm,
I find so much comfort in that, because I can only speak for myself, but I feel like with what we do, there's this, sometimes we put worth on how we're looked at by other people. I mean, many times we are, but having this comfort of knowing I've dedicated so much of myself in my life and I've really done my best, that is your measures of success, not actually by what other people think about you. And I feel like that measure of success or failures is such a poignant way to put it, because sometimes we find success and it might not be quote unquote like we had to like work so hard for it. We kind of stumbled upon it. I feel like it's a dangerous place sometimes to go if you're patting yourself on the back for maybe something that like you stumbled on, which isn't a bad thing. But if you're really trying to take measure and stock of like, where are you in life? Cool. Okay, I dedicated myself so much to this path. That is your success. So I really
for
like that.
sure. It's really about the journey, hey? It's
Yeah.
a resume line is
Yeah.
great to have, and we love those peaks in our career, but those moments are also a bit fleeting sometimes, aren't they? Like the thing happens and you're so grateful and excited that it did happen, but then you're back at it the next day, still needing to train,
Yeah.
still needing to move forward. That's the
Absolutely.
yes, the journey.
It is the journey. And the other one I really liked from that book was, it's a simple and generous rule of life that whatever you practice, you will improve at, which such it is such a simple and generous rule. But it's one of those things where if you're ever getting in your head, it's like that thing of one foot in front of the other, persevere, just
Mm-hmm.
show up and do your thing day after day. And then when you look back, you'll be like, you know what? I did whatever you're trying to get better at or improve at or flourish. And you look back and you're like, yeah, I did move forward because I put in the time and the practice.
Yeah,
So yeah,
100%.
those are my quotes for you.
Yeah, love them. Thank you for sharing both of those. And let's get into this next section here. And Allison, of course, you are an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. And I think that you'd agree that this industry is one of the most subjective, brutally honest, personally emotional industries in existence. And you know as well as I that in order to create and have a successful career in this industry, like you're having now, takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while, yes, there is an outrageous amount of fun and excitement being an entertainer, doing what we do, there are also our fair share of obstacles, challenges, and failures we are going to experience and we're going to have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
Ooh, a failure. I'll tell you, as a choreographer, I was on a job one time, and this, in my mind, this was the job, pinnacle of success in my
Mm,
mind. And I had such reverence for this job. And to this day, I have a lot of reverence and respect for that job. But through circumstance and whatnot, the job became very difficult. And I was showing up every day, persevering, really putting my best foot forward. But for many reasons, the job and people on the job and whatnot really, really took an emotional and mental toll on me. And I would say it broke me down. It was a really difficult thing. When I was done, I didn't want to work for another 6 months. I had to take time and
Oh,
remember who I was as a person. Yeah, it was really difficult. Gosh, it comes to me. I know this sounds crazy. Everybody would handle that different. There was a lot of things going on that I probably shouldn't discuss or disclose. And it's one of those things where each day, knowing how difficult it was going to be and the possible like mind situation that was going on, I really had to choose to look inside myself and know that I was in charge of my own happiness and I was making the choice to persevere through this. And I respected this job and I respected this position and I respected the artist and I was going to finish the job. And it that was my decision. It almost broke me. So I guess looking back on it now, I probably would have stood up for myself a little bit more in the moment in the job and been okay with that. But I was so determined not to rock the boat or cause any more problems than were going on that I chose to take this like silent, let me tough it out kind of position. And what it taught me is that I'll never sacrifice my own sanity and peace of mind again for something like that. There's a line for me at this point. I won't say yes to something that I know I'll be unhappy at. So I guess it really created a boundary for me that I didn't know that I needed to create. And I am still happy I did the job. It was wonderful. And I learned so many things about choreography and direction that I never would have known. And I saw people and went places that I never would have been exposed to. So there were so many wonderful things on there. But the job came back round, I politely declined. And that was a challenging thing for me, seeing how much the reverence that I had for this person in this job. But boundaries, they're important. I think as performers sometimes, especially like gig to gig performers, like the thought of turning something down, you're like, how could you turn something down? Like that's
right.
money and it's like work and it's a contract. But I realized, gosh, my happiness is more important than this job. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to experience that. And, like you said, it was really challenging, but I learned a lot of things that just the practical skill sets for this industry, but also learning about yourself and what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. And unfortunately, I think the only way to really get that kind of all-encompassing view of ourselves is to have situations that are not ideal so we can have those experiences. But what I really appreciate through that whole story is that you said you had consciously made this decision to say, you know what, I'm choosing to go in there every single day. I'm taking ownership of the fact that this is my choice to be here, right? Versus
Yes.
unloading all of these negative emotions and things onto the colleagues that you were working with, right? Because that's
Yes,
to take
absolutely.
ownership is everything. And then from there, that is what allows you to grow from that. And then politely decline the next time it comes around, but take it for the positives that you can take out of it and learn, like you said, about yourself, learn about the industry. But to have total ownership is the takeaway.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad that resonated with you. I mean, it's been a while now. It's been many years since this experience, and yeah, it's interesting how that when you look back on like such pivotal moments that you realize more and more things. But yes, it definitely was a conscious choice of mine, and I am thankful for the experience, as challenging as it was. I'm really thankful for that time. It was, and I also like really just saw like how strong I was. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, good for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
for
there you
sure.
have
Not
it.
that you want to do that every single, day for the rest of your career, but hey,
No,
you've got that in your
no.
back pocket if you need to pull it out.
Yeah, and it really, I don't think about that time often, but thinking back on it now, it just makes me so much more grateful for my day to day now and the
Mm,
people I'm involved with and the job I am involved with now. Like our family, this Magic Mike Live family is just like legit that of family. Like everyone respects and cares about each other and has the greater good of the cast and crew and the show in their heart. And yeah, it's really freaking cool. So I'm just really thankful for that
Oh,
to be
brilliant.
involved with that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good. And let's move on to a time that I like to call your spotlight moment. That one moment in time you realized, yes, I am going to be an entertainer for a living. Or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing as an entertainer. Tell us about that.
Yeah, before I tell you that moment, because I do remember it very clearly, I'll tell you that my dad's a musician, my mom was a singer. So I grew up, going to see my dad play. He plays trumpet and he recorded for tons of artists and toured with a ton of people. So it was like a normal thing, like the showbiz type situation. There wasn't like a taboo, oh, you're taking a step into this like crazy
Right.
thing. It was just like, hey, yeah, we get it. It's really hard, but we get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when we had traveled, my dance studio, like traveled in the summer to go compete. And it was the first time I traveled to New York. I think I was 10 years old. And we were taking a class. We were at Dance Educators of America, and we were taking a dance class during the day. And there was these two assistants, Nancy O'Mara and Tice Diorio, who I'm so fortunate to be friends with now and have been able to work with them. And I saw them performing and dancing and assisting. And I was like, what the heck? I was like, oh yeah, I don't know it. I didn't know what it meant to actually be a dancer, like for a living, but I knew that was for sure what I was going to be doing. Absolutely. I was
Right.
like, oh, yes, yes, yes. So I saw these two dancers and it was just very clear to me that this was going to be what I did for the rest of my life. And then when I was 14, I was on scholarship at Tremaine Dance Center in the summer. And I saw these scholarship students that did a year-long scholarship there. And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm definitely going to audition for this. This is what I want. I want to be in LA doing this kind of dancing for sure. It was very clear and absolute and unwavering. That's a bit of my personality as well, though, is I'm not very gray. So, this feeling came over me and it was just so clear. And I'm actually so thankful to God, the universe, whomever, that I had this very strong, clear feeling and knowing in my heart that, oh, yeah, this is what you're going to do. It's like a beautiful gift. So, yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Love that.
Yeah.
And let's piggyback on that real quick and talk about
Sure.
your number one booked it moment. Walk us through that day, the auditions and callbacks, if they happen to be a part of it. What was going on in
Yes.
your life, and what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
Yes, my booked it moment is really fun. It was in 2001. It was for the Janet Jackson All For You World Tour.
Wow.
I know. I'm like, oh my God. It's really funny. I won't talk too long about all of the ways it connected, but Teresa Espinosa, one of my partners who we've danced and choreographed together for over 20 years now, she had just finished the Velvet Rope tour. And when I had gone to see her on tour, she was like, oh, you're going to be up there one day. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, what? Because especially, I mean, at least in my mind at that time, that was like the job, and the
Right.
one thing, one of the people that you're like, oh gosh, I would really like to dance for that person. And I had just worked with the two choreographers, Marty Kadelka and Shawnette Hurd. We were dancing for Pink for the AMAs. Teresa, myself, and there's a bunch of us doing that job. I knew them and I'd worked with them, so that was pretty cool. And then this audition came around, and I was so nervous. Like I think I was crying. I was so nervous. I just got so freaked out or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. So you show up and there's more than 1,000 people. They're bringing you in groups. I was so nervous. I could barely learn the choreography. Then I stepped out and reviewed it in the driveway. This is at the old Millennium Dome, for anybody that knows the dome in LA. It's not there anymore. So went through that day, got on tape, made it through. I was like, oh, okay, everything's gonna be okay. And then Shawnette, one of the choreographers, said hi to me. I was like, oh, she remembers me, type thing. And then the callback day, I think it got whittled down to 70 of us, like men and women. And it was really cool because, especially at that time in LA, the group of dancers wasn't that big of people that were like around a lot. So I remember we stood in this like giant circle and everyone held hands and like we said like this, I don't know if it was a prayer or what we did, but we all wished each other like good luck. It was very supportive, which is, I don't know, rare for an audition like that. And besides, they were looking for one girl. And, which I was like, clearly I'm not going to get that. But there was a music video happening and they needed 7 women. And so in my mind, I'm like, maybe I have a shot for this 7-person thing. So I went through the callback. I feel like I did the best I could. I actually felt like good about my audition. And then Janet's there at the table. And like, you know how when they line you up, like so-and-so come down stage, so-and-so go upstage. My position was literally straight in front of her. And so I'm breathing and I'm just like, oh, good Lord. Like, oh God, just like brain, don't fail me now, you know? And I made it through and I was like, oh, thank you, sweet baby Jesus. I made it through. And then so the word on the street was, if you get the video, you'll find out within the next 24 hours. I felt good about the audition. I was like, I did all I could. Who knows if I'll book it? Day comes around, I don't get a call. And I'm like, oh man, that's a bummer. You know, I really, really wanted that job. And so at this point, during the next month, I'm on tour with a Swedish pop group named the A-Teens. And we're in Europe and we're doing like all these spot dates and whatnot. And we're doing the same TV shows and a lot of the same performances that the Janet people are doing. So we run into them all the time and it was really cool. I'm like, oh, hey. So then my little like month-long like spot date gig ends with this Swedish pop group. And I'm back in LA and I went to Kinko's because that's what you would do when you get your resumes, like copy. So I'm at Kinko's to get my resume, like just copied or whatever. And I think the next day I was getting ready to go assist Eddie Garcia and Chris Judd on a Jennifer Lopez video, which I was already like so excited about. I was like, oh my God, so exciting. So I'm at Kinko's getting my resumes and I run into Gil Doldalau, who is one of Janet's choreographers and now is like her director and like everything. And I think I looked really awful. Additionally, I was like just like looking like crap. And I'm like, oh crap, there's Gil. And he's, hey girl. And I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? He's like, it's so funny. Your name came up yesterday in conversation. And I was like, oh, really? About what?
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, you know, look, we need a swing for the Janet tour and we want to know if you want to do it. And I was like, wait, what? They were like, yeah, we need another girl for the tour. I was like, oh, what? And just in Kinko's bawling, crying. And my agent called me the next day and I booked the tour. And then additionally, one of the women on the tour left. So I got the 4th spot. I was the 4th one. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
It was so crazy. I have chills saying it right now. It was such a pivotal, like amazing time and moment. And oh my gosh.
I love that. That's probably one of the most unique booked it stories, being in Kinko's and just run into the guy and he's like, we just wanted you to be in the show. It's just so casually.
Yeah, he did say it very casually, and I'm freaking out and crying, of course, because it obviously meant so much. And then that started, and then I toured with her for a year and just learned so much as a performer and got to do so much amazing choreography and was around all these other like super great dancers. And so it was just to be at that level of excellence be required of you, like immediately you're just like, woo, here we go. You know, it was really awesome.
Yeah, so cool. And let's take a moment to talk about the present. What projects are you working on now? What are you looking forward to? And it's a weird time amidst this global pandemic. How do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
Oh, yeah. Right now, I am in a Magic Mike Live universe for sure.
Yeah.
We're working on getting all four of our shows back up and running during these COVID times. So it's been really unique to figure out how to make this very interactive show COVID safe, which we've done. It's really cool. So we're excited to share that with everybody. And so I'm really in the thick of that right now. And I'm just more thankful than ever to even have a job during these times. Like it's such a privilege, like even more so than normal, that just to have a steady place to land. I'm here in Australia and then I'll be going directly to London. And then I'll be coming back to Las Vegas and then I'll be going to Berlin just to get everything up and running. And then we have a couple other projects with Magic Mike that we can't disclose yet. But I know. But yeah, so I'm doing that. And then I started dipping my toe in the film directing world. And I shot a short last summer and I just finished it and I'm submitting it into film festivals currently. It's called Daydream and has a narrative in it, and it's one of our dancers from London, Sebastian Melataviera. He's a sweet Italian guy. It stars him, and there's a dance in it, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And as far as the entertainment industry during/after COVID, I don't have an answer to that, but I have theories. And entertainers are so resilient and creative, and we're not the type of group to be told no and then take that, like, okay, fine. I think everybody is just so creative with how they other avenues and other ways of getting shows and film and TV going. I've been particularly impressed with the different film and TV productions that I've seen going on and the lengths to which they go to keep everybody safe and get things going. The larger scale of how it impacts us as an industry, I don't think any of us will understand for a very long time. I know that jobs have been few and far between, and I think that's been really challenging for people. But I do think we bounce back. And because most people in the arts, they're not in the arts, for money. They're in the arts because they have to be. They love it. It's just what they're being beckoned to do. It's not like somebody is, oh, I want to be rich, let me be a dancer. I mean, no, it's you have to. Soul is like begging you to do this. You're not okay if you don't do this. I think that we'll find creative ways and outlets. I know many people have been connecting online through teaching and through shows and different things online, like dance classes online and mentorships online. Like I think that's been exploding, which is very cool. And then, yeah, I'm hopeful for it all. I think the best thing we can do as a community is be there for each other and really reach out and help each other and lift each other up and promote what each other is doing. If you see some like work that's right for somebody, submit them, let them know. Like the more we can really boost each other up in this time, I think that's just the way we're going to be able to get through it. Because at the end of the day, like really, who knows what the heck's going to happen? Who the heck knows?
Yeah. It's clearly, obviously, a massive mystery, but I love your insight and that you say, hey, help each other out more than ever before. Because I think sometimes people get caught up in coveting information and opportunities. And at the end of the day, it doesn't serve anybody to do that.
No. Yeah. I also feel like just expanding on that topic a little bit, that in general, especially gig to gig people, there is that tendency sometimes to be like, oh, I need that job, I want that job, or there's not enough jobs. And I truly feel like there is enough for everybody. There is enough for everybody. Support each other, lift each other up, and you will have your time, you will have your moment, you will find your lane. There's not a lack. And especially in this day of the internet and YouTube and social media, there's just so many more avenues to create your career than there were in the past. And it's what being a dancer or a performer looks like is just so different. Somebody might be really successful, have a very successful career, and it's purely online, and somebody might take the more traditional route of being a live performer or whatnot. So I really think the more we support each other, I think that in all times, actually, just support each other, lift each other up. It's hard enough as it is. The last thing you need is somebody like coming for you. You know what I mean? So if you can help somebody, just offer that hand, reach out. Like, it's the time where we need to reach out to each other, even if it's just the kind of, it doesn't even have to be about a job right now. I feel like as artists and performers, like it's a sensitive time. Just reach out, say, hey, I'm here, I'm around if you need me. Hey, I'm here and around if you want to workshop some ideas safely with a mask on or anything. I just think the more we like extend a hand and like really focus on our humanity, I think that's going to be a good building block to build everything back up again.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it is time to move on to one of my favorite sections in the interview. I call it the Grease Lightning Round. I am going to ask you a handful of questions. I want you to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible, one after another. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready. I love this.
All right, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from committing to a career as an entertainer?
Nothing.
Second question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Your reputation precedes you.
Yes. Third question. What is something that is working for you right now? Or if you'd like to go pre-COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
Hard work, showing up, discipline, dedication. That's always can't beat that.
Fourth question. What is your best resource? Whether that is a book, a movie, a YouTube video, maybe a podcast or piece of technology you found is helping your career right now.
I'm loving CLI Studios online dance classes with studios closed, trying to keep it moving, trying to keep learning. And that's been such a great resource for me.
So good. And the fifth question, if you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in this industry, what would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently or would you keep it the same?
Gosh, I think I would keep it somewhat the same, but I would have a little bit of peace of mind of knowing about the casting process and that legit, it's not personal and it's not about you half the time. Being on the other end of the table has been eye-opening, just understanding that process.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because that idea that it's, look, we're just one little puzzle piece in an entire production. And it really isn't personal. And I'm so glad you said that, because it's been coming up a handful of times through different interviews. And I think that's a big reason why this podcast has become such a great resource for aspiring entertainers or those of us that are in the thick of our careers, because by having someone like you who's been there, done that at such high levels, we're seeing that this is a fundamental, a through line for this industry. And I'm so glad that you're here to say that, to just add more legitimacy and resource for all the listeners out there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's all you can do is be the best version of yourself, and whatever you can do to do that, do it. Whether it's learning a new dance style or just, there's a million things you can do to better yourself. But at the end of the day, that is all you can do. And I promise you, there is a place for you, especially in this day and age. There's a place for everybody that really wants to make it a career. There's a place and there's an avenue. And I would just say persevere. It's just the more times you show up, like it's a numbers game. Just show up and be your full self and know that you'll find your spot. You'll find your place.
Oh, so good. And the last question, what is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry you'd like to leave with our listeners?
It's what I just said. It's persevere. It's show up, be a good person with good intentions, and you can't go wrong. Stay curious, keep growing. Like that's such a big one. Keep growing, keep trying to better yourself, and keep showing up. If you love it, if you really want to do it, persevere, and then show up with a good attitude. Happy to be here, easy to work with. I've always heard my friends say, and it's so true. Just the more you better yourself and know that it's really not about you all the time, and that your happiness begins with you, nobody else, you're going to show up and be such a asset to the production, to the film, whatever it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Everyone, please rewind and have a listen again. And To wrap up this interview, Alison, it is time to give yourself a plug. Where can we find you? How do our listeners connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Alison_Faulk, ALISON _ and then Faulk, that's F as in Fred, AULK. I have a website that's very soon live. It's AlisonFaulk.com. And then you can check out my short films website, which is Daydream Short. And yeah, if you want to check out any of our Magic Mike live shows, you can search Magic Mike Live on Instagram or basically anywhere and find some fun videos and stuff that's always fun and happy. And yeah.
Brilliant.
There you have it. Those are my plugs.
Love it. And for everyone listening out there, I have put the links to everything Alison just said into the description of this episode so you can easily connect with her. And also, be sure to share this podcast with your fellow entertainers, coaches, teachers, arts and entertainment educators, and anyone you know aspiring to create a career in the entertainment industry. It is the #1 resource of expertise on how to actually create a successful entertainment career. Case in point, everything Alison just talked about today. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Alison, thank you so much for being here today. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on.
Oh, it's been such a lovely time, and thanks for having me. It's been really special and honestly just a highlight of my quarantine for sure.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't miss an episode. Every guest drops more value and insight than any other resource out there, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a rating and review. Also, be sure to head over to youbookeditpodcast.com and join our free email community where we dig deep into a continually growing resource of truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help you advance your entertainment career. All the best to you.